I'm a gooner. This is my goon cave, and I'm here to answer the internet's questions.
Imagine watching the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy every Sunday, but it's on 11 screens and it's porn. That is gooning.
This is an addiction. It's not a hobby. There's always something that someone doesn't want the world to see.
In this episode, I am talking to a gooner inside a goon cave to answer some of the internet's questions. We had a bunch of comments. I wish I could talk to this guy to tell him he's not alone. The post-nut clarity must be insane, lol. We take you to see a kind of therapist. How did you feel about her advice? And to find out what's going on in his life right now. You kind of met a woman, is that right?
Yeah.
So Declan, welcome.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see you again.
Nice to see you as well. Nice to see the Goon Cave in full glory.
Yes.
Welcome to the latest episode of the Zandland show. In this episode, I am talking to a gooner inside a goon cave. This is a follow-up to our documentary that we made a few months ago, where I went inside a goon cave for the first time. That documentary ended up on The Daily Show in the US. It was kind of covered internationally, got millions of views. Today, Declan, the star of said show, is joining me to answer some of the internet's questions. It's a pleasure to see you again. You're looking fresh. Obviously, you've got the mask on, so the viewers won't be able to see your face, but you're looking very well.
Thank you.
I'm loving the beard. Did you have like the kind of pronounced beard last time?
No, I think it was trimmed.
What was the kind of thought process behind the beard? Just to kind of
Just completely lazy, honestly.
Well, it looks good. I like it. I like it
Thank
a lot.
you.
Well, pleasure. How's life been? I mean, it's been like months, I guess, you know, and I think I mean, so many people have seen the doc. It literally ended up on The Daily Show. Did you see this?
No, I did not know that.
On The Daily Show in the US.
I did not know that. Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Me and you are talking on The Daily Show. So the sheer scale of it is kind of insane.
Yeah.
Have you even watched it?
I have not. I made it a point. I think it was mentioned that, like comments are going to be a little dual-sided. A lot of people with opinions. So I just kind of made it a point to myself, just record it, let it do its thing. And yeah, kind of, I guess, leave that in the past.
I mean, that's an interesting kind of perspective, which I actually do understand. And I think a lot of people, because, part of this, the point is we're going to put people's questions to you, kind of give you a bit of, maybe dive a bit more into the story. But a big one that a lot of people have and always have is, why do it in the first place? What was the kind of rationale for you to do a documentary, to let me into the Goon Cave?
I think it was just a good opportunity. There's not a lot of people who they haven't really been, I guess, like showcasing this. It's very new, it's very taboo, it's very unique. So I feel like I was a decent representation of this. So I thought, okay, why not? That was mainly the main focus, is just to get like an honest opinion, because I felt like I could answer questions honestly, give them kind of like my perspective, not be so one-sided, be more in the middle. That was my thinking.
I mean, one thing that I find kind of incredible is you're casting to me from the Goon Cave right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that's
Yes.
amazing is that it looks exactly like my setup.
Oh, well, I mean, productivity is number one.
This is literally the Zandland Goon Cave. Has the Goon Cave changed at all since I came? I mean, I can count now, there's quite a lot of screens. It looks a bit more enhanced.
So the main setup has changed to where now it has a desk. That's the biggest thing. I did have, basically I just moved the TV. I had the two monitors that were here, and then I had a couple more monitors that I basically had in storage. I pulled them out and then figured out a way to kind of connect everything properly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's been about it.
What was the thought process of adding a desk?
It's just more comfortable. Like, I don't like having to hover my hands. Or if I need to, I don't know, like have water in front of me, it's a little bit easier rather than, I would say just more storage. That's about it.
For anybody who hasn't seen the Goon Cave, I will now roll a clip so you can see it in all its glory.
This is my cave. There's two 27-inch monitors, 50-inch TV, bikinis, lingerie, panties on the wall.
And then also
A chair, and then
oh my God, yeah, it's a lot of tablets.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, when we met, I think a reasonable part of our conversation was around you feeling like gooning was kind of an extreme form of porn addiction. You weren't like kind of happy with it necessarily. You compared it to taking heroin at one point and being addicted to heroin. And I guess has like are you still gooning? It seems like you are based on what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still am, but my stance hasn't really changed. I I think a better analogy uh, for me, I think, would be more of like a functioning alcoholic,
Hmm.
to where people are. I still go back and forth with people regarding like, is it an addiction? I still say it is. Other people might argue for different reasons, and I don't blame them, but I still feel like functioning alcoholic really fits the gooning kind of scene. Most people try to hide it from people. They do their best to not let it interfere with their life, but they do have something that a significant vice is what they use.
And when we met last time, you kind of the kind of you were gooning for up to 12 hours on a Sunday.
Mhm.
What's your current kind of gooning rate?
It's been like I that so the 12 hours was like the max I did. That's not the norm.
Hmm.
I'm not spending 12 hours a day doing that, but I want to say like 2 to 4 hours now. That's just like the norm.
Each day or on a Sunday? Like
Oh, no. Just one day.
on
Just
a
one
Sun.
day. I'm
Okay.
not yeah, I don't have the stamina for that, nor do I feel like it would be healthy for me to do that every day. I personally don't understand how or not everyone, but other people do it every day.
Hmm.
It's very shocking.
Yeah, I genuinely say there's few films that kind of we've made that have led to so much, so many questions, so much kind of amazement and confusion as to like what even gooning is and what it involves. And we had to kind of, put a bunch of comments. One of the main comments was, you need to follow this up. Declan is intelligent and articulate. He wants a way out. Please post what his progress is. Good video, thanks to all involved. So I guess the first question, and this one is from a guy called Jim Ray. So he's saying that you agreeing to do the documentary was a call for help. Would you say that
Okay.
that's true? Was it a call for help? Was it something that you were doing because you wanted to kind of weigh out and felt like this might be a kind of door to that?
Never really thought about it, but I could see it in retrospect, maybe. But initially, no, that wasn't really my thought process. It was just Uh, venturing out of my comfort zone. I think that was a big thing. And then giving an insight because not tooting my own horn, but I do have a vastly impressive setup. So I thought, this would be something to showcase because other people might say like, "Oh yeah, I have a goon cave," and then it's just like three monitors. Well, not three monitors. Let's say two or just one. Um, I guess this shows like a more um, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a more decorated setup. It's not the word, but advanced, addictive. Like it's very like in your face that okay, this is an addiction. It's not I don't know, like a hobby. I would say.
I mean, that's actually fascinating because I never quite thought about it that way. That a kind of big reason for being involved might be to actually, I suppose, show off the sheer scale of your kind of setup. Is that in a kind of like prideful way and like kind of look at what I've managed to build?
I just wanted to give, I guess, a good example of what it can turn into. If that's something impressive, fine. I don't see it as that. More of it just gives the viewer something to where they can see that okay, gooning is not just watching porn on your phone or watching it on a single screen. It could turn into this. That's kind of my goal. If I knew someone with a better setup, I'd honestly recommend them rather than me. It's not I wanted the fame, but I just figured okay, my setup it's very decorated. It's very big, so this is probably a good example.
I mean, one thing that kind of struck me big time about this is like it's a kind of deeply personal thing to let someone in,
Mhm.
not only to your home, and
Very.
I kind of sensed the nervousness when we first met, and obviously you were letting me
Mhm.
into your house, but also letting me into a room that I guess is deeply intimate that you clearly have some shame around.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that like to kind of do that and to kind of allow a film crew into that space?
Very nerve-wracking, extremely anxious. It wasn't something that I was used to doing, nor did I think I would ever do. I'm still shocked that I did it. I don't really regret it because of the opportunities that I had. Like, I guess just talking to people and kind of getting my thoughts out of my own head and hearing responses.
Hmm.
That was very helpful, so I don't regret it, but it was just something that I never thought I would do.
And what's life been like since, I think at that point you were kind of largely kind of solitary gooner. You
Mhm.
occasionally, you had been to kind of mutual masturbation sessions where you were kind of like masturbated with other people in the room.
Yeah.
You had one person, which I think was it a male who had kind of like
Yeah.
co-gooned with you in the goon cave,
Mhm.
but it was largely a solitary experience.
Yeah.
What's it been like since? How has the gooning kind of developed?
It's been really the same. I haven't really changed much. I'm kind of a creature of habit, so same schedule, same priorities, and same gooning, I would say. Pretty boring answer, but that's just been about it.
Well, I've actually heard through the grapevine, i.e., the kind of producers Ben and Freddie, that you kind of met a woman. Is that right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And that seems like a pretty big, a kind of revelation. What can you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so Reddit of all places. We met on there, kind of I just like my filtering to make sure that it wasn't like a catfish.
Hmm.
And once that kind of not escalated, but once we kind of started talking, moved to phones, texted each other, met up, had that experience. It was a good experience. It's just something I wasn't used to. So, um, yeah, I was just a very, very unique experience, I would say.
I guess in terms of how you guys actually met, you mentioned Reddit. So was this on a kind of gooning subreddit?
It was actually in my DMs. So, but yes, it was based off of a gooning subreddit that they found.
Had she seen the documentary?
She has not.
Okay. I
Or
just
she had
wondering.
not at that time. It
I was just
was, I
wondering if we
think,
gave you any extra clout. You know what I mean?
no, well,
That's
that's what I was worried about at first because I did get a lot of comments and DMs like, "Oh, you're the guy from the documentary," and I thought, "Yeah, that's cool," but I appreciate that from you guys, and I appreciate everyone that says like, "Great job on the documentary," which is more of a compliment to you guys. But it wasn't. I was thankful that she didn't know about the documentary, and a lot of people, or not a lot of people, but she didn't reach out because of the documentary.
mm,
She actually found it later on, and then she was like very surprised about it. But I think she thought it was a good documentary. I mean, got to see everything in person, but it seemed like I was my authentic self, and it wasn't. She wasn't meeting someone on YouTube that is completely different to the person she's
mhm.
meeting in person. So I think that was a good part about it.
Could you tell me a bit more about the experience? What was it like? Did you go on a date, or you gooned together? Like, what was the kind of?
So the experience was like meeting up, getting the first meeting jitters out of the way. So hanging out in a very public place just so that we felt safe. We were talking pretty much on the same level of things. I don't even think we mentioned anything gooning or porn related on the kind of the initial meet. It was very nice. And then once we came back to my place, we even discussed more of just like what's going on with our lives. Then we kind of discussed like very briefly of what was okay and what wasn't, just because we already previously talked about it. And then yeah, we goon foreplay, made out, just I guess the basic stuff, but just with a porn video playing in the background.
That's amazing. What was that like?
It's
Because
very
when
unique.
I guess when
Yeah,
we met, you weren't having much luck with women or dating apps.
yeah,
Is that correct to say?
mhm, mhm,
And you were kind of hadn't had a kind of sexual experience in that sense. Is
yeah,
that right?
mhm,
Um,
yeah,
so that I mean that feels like a big deal to have to kind of kiss, foreplay, meet somebody that could potentially turn into something.
mhm. I think it was. Uh, I'm still like I'm still trying to process it all, just because it's not a very common experience, especially in my position, or people meeting the opposite sex and then doing a common thing as gooning. It's very unusual, or I would say rare. So I'm still trying to process it, but the best way I could put it was that it was interesting. It was extremely unique. I don't regret it. It was a good time. I'm still in contact with the person, and I think that it might lead to something in the future, but I'm just kind of playing it as is.
What? Why play it cool? Did
Um,
you like
I,
her?
yeah, but I think it's more of I don't want to rush into anything. I feel that if a relationship is built off of one thing, it might not be the best. I will just want to make sure that it's an actual, there's like an actual bond. We don't just bond over sex because if the sex is great, but we don't have good conversation, then it doesn't really seem like that's a good idea to build a relationship on.
What was the conversation like?
What do you mean?
Like, was it good? Was it good chat? Were you
Oh yeah, no,
were
it
you
was it was
vibing?
very
Was the
yeah.
chemistry high?
I
Did
think it
you
was
feel
yeah.
emotions?
I think it was a good chat. It was very surface level but mutual. We talked about things like what we mentioned. There were things that we agreed on, disagreed on. There wasn't anything too drastic, but I just feel like with more conversation down the line, then I could probably get a better sense of the situation.
How did you leave it? Was it like, hey, let's meet up again soon?
Oh yeah. Mhm.
And how long ago was that?
Uh,
Sorry, I'm very fascinated by this. I love a good love
no, it's fine.
story. You know what I mean?
I mean, we after the first meeting, we still stayed in touch, text each other. Like uh, as soon as she got home, it was like, okay, made it home. Thanks for having me over. I told her thanks for coming over. It was great. And then have stayed in contact. Then after we stayed in contact, we met up again. S- Still doing kind of like the same things of just hanging out, foreplay, watching porn. Very, yeah, same. Nothing really too crazy.
And is that when was the last time you saw her? Was it recently or
I think 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago? Okay. Wow. So this is like this could be the real deal. Are you playing it cool because you don't know what is going to come from it and you're a bit kind of nervous about it, or you're don't know how to talk about it? Like, because I get the sense that you might quite like her, but you're talking about it quite kind of I suppose unemotionally.
I'm just thinking more of I just don't want to not put all my eggs in one basket, but I don't want to just leap in, scare them off, and then also I don't want to leap into something that maybe isn't the right move for me. So I'm just trying to think of it from not just a let's say like a horny perspective or a very not neutral perspective, but like just strictly analytical. I just want to see if everything is if it's the right move to move forward with this, or if it's something that am I going to second guess later, or just trying to figure all that out.
So you're kind of simultaneously worried that you'll either kind of go too fast and maybe be rejected, or that you'll go too fast and make the wrong decision and it won't work out. Is that right? Or like,
I think mainly the go too fast and maybe it won't work out. I don't want to rush into anything and then it just I find out later on that, oh, okay, this isn't something I should have done, or I hope the best reaction is I wish I did this sooner, but I would rather be cautious and um, yeah, be cautious and have that regret of, oh, I wish I did this sooner down the line than the other way around.
but then the regret of the other way around would just be that it didn't work out. And,
Mhm.
but is that not fine? Is that not just what relationships are like? That sometimes they don't work out, but you have to try.
See, that's the thing, I don't know.
You know?
So
Yeah.
this is all new to me.
Well,
So
I think that
I'm
is what you'll never know, because I suppose relationships will never be analytical in the same way that
okay.
and a kind of maths test will be. There's always an element of risk because you never
Hmm.
know what the other person thinks. Um,
Yeah.
but I guess there's a value in putting yourself out there. It seems like, I mean, that sounds amazing. That sounds like some serious, like you've met somebody and seen them more than once. You guys seem to be vibing. There's obviously going to
Hmm.
be a sense that she might turn around and eventually say no, or you might get deep into it and you don't. It's not what you thought it was, but I guess you'll only figure that out if you actually do the thing and meet
Hmm.
kind of and take the risk.
Yeah. I think that no, that is a good point. It is something that I have thought about, but I just still feel that I would rather. I think playing it safe is better than just jumping all in. Um,
What does playing it safe mean, though? Because
uh,
when you say playing it safe, does that mean ultimately being kind of distant and not kind of proactive with it? Kind of stepping back. Can you just explain a little bit about what playing it safe means?
not rushing anything, not trying to, I guess, push them into a situation that they're not wanting to. Things aren't mutual. I'm just trying to let things develop on their own. Um, Take it one step at a time, not rush to I guess, rush to
Hmm.
a situation that maybe I'm not ready for or they're not ready for.
Has she said that she like the feelings are mutual, or she likes you, or she wants to kind of continue it?
Yeah, it seems mutual. It's just that we haven't really discussed anything further besides very surface level stuff. So I want to discuss more. I would like to take them out on a not gooning activity, just kind of see how we bond, and if things just heat up from there, cool. If they don't, then uh, we'll kind of get there when we get there.
Okay, final question, but just because I find this it's very interesting.
Hmm.
I guess like because you mentioned that you don't have the experience of relationships, you don't always know necessarily what's kind of you should say and not say. I
Yeah.
mean, I guess is it like are you have you spoken to her and said are you interested in us kind of continuing to see each other? Do you like me? Like, I guess do you want a girlfriend? Like, have you had any of these conversations?
Briefly, but it wasn't anything that we got a lot of work done. I would say it was just kind of mentioning it, and then we were both confused on where we do stand with each other, and it wasn't anything that we can't get upset at each other for not knowing, because if we're both confused, we're both in the same place. So I think we both have the same idea of not working things out, but letting things go, take their own pace, and not try to force anything. See if it develops naturally, which I do appreciate.
But what are your expectations? I suppose, what are your expectations around something developing naturally? Like, what do you think should happen?
Personally, I don't have any expectations on this. I'm literally thinking about it very as small as possible.
Hmm.
I'm not trying to think years down the line. I'm just trying to think, okay, if, the next meeting, the next date, next hangout. That's basically as far as I'm trying to think.
Hmm. And you are going to arrange another date.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And are you going to talk? Are you going to ask her about that date, or do you think she'll ask you about that date?
I think I will. So,
Okay.
we'll see how it goes.
Okay, cool. All right. I think one thing that's worth noting, considering you haven't actually seen the doc or read the comments, which is a very smart thing to do, is that
Thank you.
a lot of them are actually very positive. Like one guy, John Spector 1103 says, "I wish I could talk to this guy to tell him he's not alone, give him a hug, take him on a hike. I wish I could give him hope."
Yeah, I mean, I kind of figured a lot of those well, not a lot of them were going to be positive, but there's going to be some hidden gems. I appreciate the sentiment behind it, but it's not. I think there was more, respectfully, there's more filth in the comment section than there are positives. So I was just kind of avoiding everything from.
Yeah, I mean, the filth was kind of comedic filth, really, that you'd expect, I
Yeah,
guess. Stuff like first mistake, you shook his hand, which a lot of people said,
yeah,
around like the sense that a goon cave is a place in which someone's masturbating, so therefore it must inherently be dirty or whatever. Which is interesting because, in all honesty, I didn't think that at all.
I'm glad.
That wasn't even part of my thought process. It felt like it felt like a clean place. That people. I mean, lots of people jerk off in bathrooms. You know, people still use bathrooms.
And
So
yeah, those are filthy.
those are filthy, arguably more
Yeah.
filthy. But what else did we have? So like another person said, "I ain't touching nothing in that room, dog." I guess how does it feel? Because I know there's a reasonable amount to this, which is there is a sense of shame that you talked about, where people are kind of, I suppose, perceiving it as a dirty place and a kind of dirty thing.
Mhm.
It's taboo. How do you feel with that?
With the comments that they're saying.
Yeah, and that kind of sense, I guess, that it's like inherently dirty.
I can see where they're coming from, but uh, mainly everyone has an opinion, and usually those are just to kind of get, uh, I guess, fit in a sense. You make a very bland statement. That's a joke. It's more likely to gain traction. That's what I think of it as. It's not anything like a personal hit. But if I saw, I want to put them in my shoes. I want to put myself in their shoes. If I saw that documentary, I would probably maybe the cleanliness might have come across my mind, but it's everyone, basically everyone has their own opinion. I'm trying not to take it too seriously.
I mean, I think what this is another comment from a lady called Shannon Russo, and she says Declan seems like he'd be such a communicative partner. I hope he puts himself out there, and I hope you find balance in your life. Peace and love from a grandma in Pittsburgh. So you're getting love from the grandmas, which is usually pretty high
Interesting.
praise. Um, I think, but I think it's fascinating. I think one thing that struck me during the process of filming this is that you were very self-aware,
Hmm.
very communicative, and this lady's saying she hopes you put yourself out there. It does seem like you have put yourself out there to some degree, but talking to you,
Hmm.
it still seems like you're a little bit reserved, a little bit worried about the kind of potential reality of meeting somebody. But I guess why? I guess do you feel as though you? Because it seems like you've thought about this a lot. You just don't know how to quite maybe break free from something that's making you feel down. Is in that sense. Like I guess where are you currently at in that headspace?
Can you elaborate more on the question?
Yeah, and in terms of gooning, it seems like you've really thought
Okay.
about the kind of pros and cons of gooning, but there's still something
Hmm.
drawing you back to it, even though you think it's not a good thing.
I mean, the biggest thing that's drawing me back is it's addictive. That's That's the easiest way to put it. It's not something that people can easily quit. If people are arguing for it to be an addiction and people are arguing it to not be an addiction, I think that kind of proves the point that yeah, it is addictive. Recently, someone did have a it was a very mutual, open discussion and like no harm, no foul or anything. I actually enjoyed the conversation, but they based my ability to kind of manage my personal life, my work life, and getting my tasks done and then gooning last. They based that as not being addictive, and I at the time I couldn't really respond to that, but I just knew I disagreed with that. And once I kind of thought about it more, the functioning alcoholic really made more sense to me because those people are able to maybe they're not making alcohol their last priority, but they are trying to make sure that it doesn't affect their work, it doesn't affect their family life, but they have a little sliver of time, or in my case, a big sliver of time that they, let loose, have their vice. And I feel like, those people, it isn't the most, prideful thing. They are hiding it. It is shameful in a sense, but it's not something that, they're like, oh yeah, you should do this. This is a great thing. It's very it's still taboo, it's still negative, there's still a lot of cons to it, but, they keep coming back to it because it is addictive.
I mean, do you think it's the actual gooning and watching porn and the masturbation that is kind of making you feel bad, or is it that sense of kind of isolation? I think when I went to your house, it did feel like you were very isolated. In your living room, you hadn't put much kind of thought into it because no one really came around. So the kind of obviously having a goon cave and spending a huge amount of time watching porn in itself means you have less time to meet other people. But it felt like generally you weren't meeting a lot of people kind of most of the time, and that felt isolating, which that kind of distance from other people is obviously not going to make you feel fantastic.
Yeah, I think, it was mainly more towards just not being isolated, but, I do understand that I don't go out as often, I don't hang out with a lot of people, I have my own things that I like to do outside, but as far as with gooning and the negatives, I think it's mainly just I think it's the amount of the amount of time I spent, and then also the dopamine hits that I get off of it. It is something that it not part of human nature, but we are tapping into our pleasure system. We're doing something by ourselves instead of seeking out a partner to do it. It is prolonged, so we're getting highs that we're not able to reach. We know how to pleasure ourselves the best, so we don't have to go through like any hiccups. The communication isn't really high. It's very catered towards self pleasure. So I think that um, that's probably like the biggest hit is just because I'm maximizing so much dopamine, and once the crash happens, I mean it's not pretty. It is yeah. It's very difficult sometimes, but you can rationalize that. Okay, it's just one bad day. Just move on. But it is still something like a big negative. usually people who work out or yeah, work out or run, which is something that maybe I don't like. They feel immense satisfaction after doing it. Whereas me, I feel immense satisfaction while doing it, but once I'm done, it's not shame, it's just a lot of like, I guess, emptiness.
But I also just think it's the kind of lifestyle that comes with it, and it comes with, I've made kind of a lot of films that I suppose guys who um, are a bit more socially isolated, and I think like even right now, like we're talking to you, you are. It's like early in the morning where you are, very, very early in the morning, which I guess means you're on a bit more of a nocturnal schedule, which inherently
Yeah.
again makes it more difficult to meet people, see people, because you're, you know, what I suppose, and what's work being like, amongst all this?
It's literally been the same. Not to get too much into it, but nothing has really changed. I'm, still just doing the same stuff, working long hours, and then trying to, fit in my social life when I can.
And what is the social life currently?
I mean, basically just very minimal. The
Hmm.
best way to put it is just very minimal. I usually do the free time that I have is mainly to catch up with friends. Or yeah, mainly just catch up with friends, catch up with things that I haven't done during the week.
And when you say catch up with friends, are these like physical friends, or are they still
Yeah,
kind of? They are. So people in the real world.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's I mean, I might not be able to like visit them personally, but if I have time, I'll visit them, and then from there, maybe I have another friend in a different state. We all have the same hobbies. We can kind of maybe we'll hop on like a call, hang out, just talk, just kind of
Hmm.
just catch up a little bit, or we're all playing something different. Just kind of just shoot the shit.
Okay. Yeah. What one? I mean, another aspect. In the comments that got a lot of attention was obviously we take you to see a kind of therapist, psychologist
Mhm.
lady. It turns out a lot of people were not huge fans of kind of her advice to you. I guess her kind of general kind of idea was that porn addiction isn't really an addiction, and the porn wasn't the thing that was making you feel down. It was there was some kind of underlying issue, and it was your shame that you felt about porn, and if you remove that shame, you'd feel less sad.
Mhm.
What was your take after that meeting and what she said to you? And how did you feel about her advice?
So after the meeting, and even now, I'm really thankful that you guys took me to her. It was a good conversation. It was very nice just to get my thoughts out in the open, discuss them with someone who maybe they don't have the same views as me, but still, it got I was able to have a very mutual, open conversation about this, and so I really appreciate that. The advice I didn't really agree with, but it wasn't, everyone has a different opinion, so I can't really hate on that. So I have no ill will towards the person that I talked to. I had a great conversation with her. If I could have it again, I would.
Hmm.
It was very open, but I'm not gonna say that she was clueless. I'm not gonna say she didn't know what she was talking about because I think it's just from her research, she found that these experiences obviously, she formed opinions based off of the experiences that she found and the research that she did. So I can't really fault her for that. But I feel that I also didn't want to come across as it wasn't a cry for help, but I just didn't want to come across as someone that thought, oh, gooning and porn, it's great. I wanted to actually bring counter arguments because a lot of people that I find within these Reddit spaces they're 100% pro porn, they're 100% pro gooning, or sorry, 100% pro porn. They're very, gooning is great. I think a lot of that is just a facade, or they're trying to, grab likes, things like that. But there are people out there that will read that and believe it, and especially people who are trying to get into gooning, which I don't recommend. But the people who are trying to get into it, they might see that as, oh, I need to surround myself with porn, or I need to do this, I need to immerse myself in this lifestyle when in fact I think that's just going down a path of addiction and yeah I just think the removing the shame that's not really I don't know if that's even the right thing to do or not if it's possible but you're kind of I feel like you feel the shame for a reason it's not maybe how you grew up but if you're I guess if you're doing something and even if it's pleasurable in the moment, and then after you feel shame or regret or just a major dopamine crash, then it's probably not a good thing.
But I guess, I mean, because I suppose there's a few layers to that in the sense of, kind of a lot of people would argue porn isn't inherently bad. There's kind of versions of porn that are fine. Masturbation isn't a bad thing. It can be part of a healthy lifestyle. So is it the extent to which you're doing it that feels kind of shameful, or is it just generally porn that you think is just something people shouldn't really consume?
I think that is a good question. I think the extent that I'm doing is something that people should highly avoid. And seeing, because I've been trying to trace my steps on like how I got this far. And I would say that, if I could avoid porn, it would probably be the best move.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, it's not something I would recommend to people. If someone says, "Oh yeah, I don't watch porn," I'm not like, "Oh yeah, you should watch this video." It's not something I would recommend. If they do watch porn, and I guess if they do watch porn and they kind of know their limits, it's not like taking over their lives. Yeah, I'll have a discussion with them about it, but it isn't something that I really wish, everyone was doing.
But I guess there is, I mean, it does feel like, having spoken to you a few times, that like there is a real sense of like shame and taboo that comes with it. Like you feel as though there's a part of your life that's dark that you don't want to share with the outside world.
Mhm.
And that must be like quite a heavy experience. There's an element of you that feels extremely secretive that you don't want other people to know about. That actually is something you do quite a lot, which in itself feels like a bit of a blocker to forming other relationships.
I think so, yeah. I usually my counter to that is that there's always something that someone doesn't want the world to see. So no matter who the person is, there's at least one thing that they would prefer to keep to themselves. Um, this is probably like the biggest one that I would like to keep to myself or find like-minded people, but I do agree that this is something that could hinder future relationships, and that is a big thought that goes through my mind sometimes. So,
But I'm actually not saying that gooning is something. I mean, that I think the gooning, there's definitely an argument. It could definitely hinder future relationships. I'm also saying this, your feeling around, I suppose, your embarrassment around it and your inability to be fully open with people.
yeah, so then I would go back to my first comment of that there's something that usually I firmly believe that there's usually one or a few things that people would like to keep to themselves as their deepest, darkest secrets that they don't want to show to the world. This might be one of mine, or not what might be one of mine. This is one of mine. But I don't think it's like the weight that I carry that keeps me from being isolated and showing off myself. It's just, um, I kind of not deal with it, but it is what it is. That's how best way I could describe it.
But I guess it means you probably don't want people to come to your house, do you? Because you've got a goon cave in the house. If you're embarrassed about this thing and then you actually have a room dedicated to it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's not something that I guess I wouldn't openly invite people to my house, but I'm not going to decline people if they do, they want to come over, hang out, like that's
Mhm.
fine. Um, it's just not something would be the first suggestion that I would mention. I try not to let my life get I guess not hindered by this, but if activities want to happen here at the house, that's fine. I'll work around them.
Mhm.
But it isn't something that I try to be like, oh no, I can't have anyone over because of this.
Okay.
I'm just more cautious.
Did the therapy sesh lead you to want to consider doing more therapy around this?
Yes and no. Um, it is something that I never had the opportunity to do. It was very interesting. I didn't hate the experience. I would do it again, but am I actively seeking that out right now? Not really, no.
Why is that? Why not?
Mainly time, and I feel like I have a decent balance on things, but that would be I think the last part, I think it would be very hypocritical of me to say that, oh, this isn't really affecting my life, so I wouldn't do it. I think mainly it's just the time. I don't have, I haven't figured out a schedule. It's the time to actually meet up with someone.
Yeah, when we met, that was the thing I found most interesting. Is you kept saying to me about time, that you were
Yeah,
really busy, and
yeah.
and I don't know everything about your life, but I guess everyone's busy, aren't they? Like people have a lot of commitments. They might have kids or whatever. So I guess everyone's busy. I guess it's really what you choose to make time for
Yeah,
in your life.
yeah, which you're not wrong about that. I think, yeah, it's just in my situation right now, I have trouble fitting in what I wanna do besides gooning. So to add on another thing on there, it just doesn't seem like it would work out.
So you couldn't replace one therapy session like every month. You do start with two goon sessions, two therapy sessions, change
uh,
one of the Sunday trips.
I think so it could be possible. I just don't know if it would work out.
Okay. All right.
How beneficial would that be though, do you think?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't think therapy is like a panacea and solves all problems. It's probably just useful
Uh-huh.
to talk to somebody about things. So I think it's probably
Yeah.
useful to try, if you've got the
Okay.
funds to do it. I don't think it's
Yeah.
going to solve every problem for everyone ever, but I think it's probably useful. Um,
That's not a bad I agree with that.
hmm.
Thank you.
No worries. Just to quickly pause my chat with Declan, who's patiently waiting. Please like and subscribe to Zandland if you like the content. It really helps us make the films we do, and it helps us have more fascinating conversations like this. All right, now back to the video. Do you think kind of gooning is part of the manosphere? This kind of world of, I suppose, more problematic views towards women and ideas of masculinity. Like, does gooning fit into that categorization?
I think it can, just depending on the person, but there are people who think that, the actresses or the actors are just like not scum of the earth, but just like, oh, this is your job, do that, make me feel good. And then there's the complete opposite of that, to where they think, these actors and actresses are, um, like those are their movie stars. Those are the people that not they worship or idolize. Well, in a sense, idolize, but like they would be in shock, kind of in awe if they saw them in person.
Hmm.
It's it's very drastic, but so I think it can be very negative towards women and men, but does it fall directly into that? I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main questions I get after making these types of films is always kind of, I guess, what can you do about it? I think there's an element here of like you're struggling with intimacy, a kind of, and I guess an inability to kind of enter the dating market and trying to figure out your way through that. What do you think, based off your kind of experiences so far, could kind of get you out of the kind of goon cave into the wider world in a more kind of natural way where you could have a healthy relationship and I guess feel a bit better about yourself?
I think the best way for me to quit or move on with my life would probably be changing my scenery. Maybe getting on a completely different schedule. Um, yeah, it is something that I have thought about, but it's not something that obviously I haven't put it into fruition. But it's something that I think about, like, okay, maybe if I did this, it'll keep my mind distracted from wanting to watch porn. Or if I deleted these apps, I kind of not isolated myself, but make sure that I'm on a straight and narrow path of, okay, uh, don't watch this, don't get not interested, but don't watch this, don't get attracted to this. Just kind of focus on you, make sure focus on things that actually make you happy rather than stimulate you.
I mean, given that you feel as though there's a problem and you feel as though you've got some kind of solution and you actively want change, I guess why not do those things?
Mainly because I'm worried about, well, I'll be honest, like I'm scared. It's the it's not a easy task. It's not something that you could do a cold turkey. That's if you can, that's great for you. I realize that I'm not going to be able to do that. So it's a long task. It's going to be a lot
So
of,
sorry, so you're scared of the kind of how you'll feel if you stop gooning. Is that what you mean?
yeah, like, so I'm on the stance that it is an addiction. So withdrawals, kind of like my mind racing towards, oh, okay, I want to watch porn, when can I get my next fix, so to say. Um, I guess being worried that, oh, I'm spending my time doing something else during my gooning, I'm missing out.
Hmm.
Um, let's see. It's just some other like things like that, but mainly the journey of not being able to watch something that I enjoy watching, but um yeah, having to kind of tell myself, like, okay, find something else to do during this time, and really stick to that. Basically create a new schedule.
What's the longest you've gone without gooning?
I think like a month, but that does count for. I mean, gooning itself as in like with multiple screens a month, but as far as like watching porn, I've maybe like a week.
Okay. And did you
Yeah.
like what was that like?
I mean, it was interesting. It's something that I mean, obviously, it's difficult, so I kind of have a taste of okay, this is what it's like to not goon for a month. But yeah, it's definitely it gave me an insight of what's to come when I do decide to quit. So that's a little nerve wracking.
And when you look at what you want, like is it that you want to kind of be more of a kind of kind of normie, have a kind of conventional relationship, meet a woman kind of or man that you love and can do like have a kind of life with, and like what is it that you're kind of striving for?
I just want to be happy.
Hmm.
Mainly just, find someone that I have common things and interests with, I can talk to openly, I don't have to be reserved. Uh, I can, yeah, have a great conversation with, I can really be intimate with them as far as sharing deep things. Doesn't have to be physically intimate, but that's like the main priority. I feel that, there's always someone out there for you, but the more that I guess the weirder things that I do, the more difficult it is to find that one person.
Hmm.
So I guess if I were to quit mooning, then that would change a lot, make me a lot more attractive in the sense of, I don't have a porn addiction. So, which I think a lot of people would argue that that's not a very popular trait, nor is that something that I would want anyone else to have. So it's just, um, yeah, that's kind of like my thinking about it.
I mean, I guess they'd also argue it's not as bad as a heroin addiction. Um, you know,
I mean, I'm not gonna say, heroin's worse than porn or porn's worse than heroin. I don't wish, a heroin addiction on anyone. I don't wish a drug problem on anyone. I don't wish a porn addiction on anyone.
but I feel like a heroin addiction is I think definitely worse than a porn addiction, surely, because just because of the consequences of heroin. I mean, you can literally OD on heroin, can't you? You could die.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. But I think it does. I think it does as far as psychologically. Like I never really understood addictions before. So when I would see let's say like a TV show of someone going through withdrawals, I saw that it was bad, but I never thought like, oh, okay, how could someone let themselves get to this far?
Hmm.
That's how I do agree with you that with heroin you can OD. Generally, people are I mean, you're disfiguring your body by like stabbing yourself. You're also yeah, you're not putting the healthiest stuff in you. It's very costly. It's there's not a lot of I don't think people can argue a pro that I'll listen to about heroin addiction, but I do think that porn, the amount of like pull it has on you, it is very detrimental to a lot of people, and I do agree that I think a lot of people would be better off not watching porn.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually not kind of arguing with you about the kind of values of watching loads of porn.
Mhm.
I definitely think you watch a lot of porn, and there's
Yeah,
kind of clearly negative consequences to
I
that.
can yeah
Uh,
I can't argue that.
yeah,
I don't watch a lot of porn. It'd be very like not nonchalant.
disingenuous.
Simplest, disingenuous, stupid. Very like
But I guess
ignorant, arrogant.
my
Yeah.
point is really whether comparing it to a heroin addiction is helpful, because I guess part of your fear is that you're going to have like severe withdrawals if you stop watching
Mhm.
porn, and that you won't be
Yeah.
able to kind of handle the consequences. But I guess in reality, there's definitely a lot of people who see porn as an addiction, and I'm not a scientist or psychologist, so I don't know what the reality is. But I guess it's objectively not as bad as a heroin addiction, in the sense that, as I said, heroin literally, I think, changes the chemical makeup of your body. People can overdose on it. So
Mhm.
it seems unlikely that the withdrawal is going to be to that extent. Is that not my point? Is it not a bit of a blocker to even trying if you're thinking that you're going to have such severe cold turkey withdrawal symptoms from porn?
I think that is yeah. You're kind of thinking, not you, but me, kind of mentioning it. Maybe I am thinking a little bit too far in the future, but it is something that I tend to overthink. So
Hmm.
it is something that has come up. Um, but I do think that as far as yeah, like getting off of my porn addiction, it is going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. If it was easy, then they wouldn't even be talking about porn as an
Yeah.
addiction.
Of course.
Um, so I think it's going to be tough if if it's going to be extremely tough for me or as bad as I think it is. Probably not. Um, but is it still going to be tough? I think so.
In the film, you kind of described yourself as a pornosexual.
Mhm.
Do you still identify as a pornosexual?
It was more for so I think I mentioned oh, I know I mentioned to you that that was more for like an online um more like an online not a persona or personality, but it just filtered who I wanted to associate with easier.
Hmm.
If I were to say that, oh yeah, uh I'm a straight porn addict, people might come to me and be like, "Oh yeah, I like doing this," and then maybe that's not something I like to do, and I'm like, "No, no, thank you, it's fine." So I was just going through a lot of conversations with people or interactions with people, I should say, where they were coming to me saying like, "Oh yeah, we'd be such a great match," and they start talking about stuff. I'm like, I'm not interested in this. So I just not came up with it, but I just identify as a pornosexual online just because it's easier to
Hmm.
um, I guess meet the people that I want to meet with or talk to the people I want to meet with.
There seemed to be a bit of kind of thought at the time around kind of maybe a fluidity in your sexuality that was picked up through some of the comments. I think someone called Do's Rom Hacks has said, you say you're straight, heteroflexible, and then you proceed to describe the entire characteristics of a penis that you find
I mean,
appealing.
yeah, I think, but at the end of the day, it's something that I forgot where I heard it, but if I'm straight, I'm well, that's why I usually describe it as heteroflexible because
Hmm.
I'm mentally and physically attracted to women. Like I could not have a relationship with a man, but I like a penis.
Hmm.
I have my preference.
Which is totally fine.
So
It's fine to like
yeah,
penis.
yeah, I mean it's fine. But there was uh I'm blanking out on his name, but it was a guy. It had to do with like Tiger Joe and Carolyn Baskin, but it was a gay guy was talking to like a younger person saying like, "Oh yeah, you're not gay," and he's like, "Yeah, no, I'm not gay, I'm straight." He's like, "Oh, do you watch porn?" He's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh, do you watch? Does the guy there's there a guy in there?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, what are you looking at?" He's like, "Oh, I'm looking at the action." It's like, "Well, then obviously you're not 100% straight." And it could be joking, but I did think about that. I'm like, yeah, you got a point because a lot of porn does focus on penetration, and maybe that person isn't focused on the penetration or like, oh, they have to have the biggest or the smallest, but it's something to where, like, if the actor isn't doing his job or the actress isn't doing their job, it's off. It's not because they're hot, but you wanna see both of them have some type of chemistry. If one thing is off, then it's not a good scene.
Hmm.
So, the same thing with if you're watching porn and the guy's not doing his job, you're just like, "Oh, I could do better than that," but you're still focusing on the guy. So, what does that make you?
I think I mean a lot a lot it's fascinating. I think yeah, that analysis of the kind I'm trying to think of where my eyes gaze when I've watched porn in the past.
Mhm.
Am I looking extensively at the penis? I don't know. I don't know. I objectively
No, no,
don't
I
know.
mean,
I'll
it's
think about it
yeah.
next time I partake in a goon sesh. But the I mean, final few questions, but I mean, obviously, a large part of this we discussed this in the film itself around kind of how you kind of got into this world and how it began. There's a comment around kind of asking how many gooners were created out of the pandemic and COVID. Do you think
Mhm.
that is a big part of it that a lot of people
I
during that kind of period of isolation fell into this space?
Yes, I think that is a huge push. That was yeah, that was detrimental. I think COVID, the lockdown was detrimental to society as a whole, and it I could put that under a blanket statement, but just looking at the fact of people who were in school at that time, children were just like their education was just obliterated. You can't get the same type of education. Like right now, we're talking over Zoom. I can't get the same type of connection, readings,
Mm,
or even the total like communication that we're having. It's very visual, but I'm not able to see your feet. Maybe I'm tapping my feet. Maybe I'm nervous. I'm more nervous. I'm sweating. Maybe I smell like sweat. I can hear, maybe I can hear your gulping, like when in between questions. It's just you're not able to get that full connection. So I know that when people during the pandemic, they obviously isolated, but it wasn't, their choice. They were forced to. And I don't think that led to the best outcomes. I think a lot of people
mm,
were screwed up from it. I think a lot of people developed, addictions. Some of those people developed porn addictions. It was just uh, okay. So what if you already like watching porn and you're basically told to sit at a desk for, multiple hours a day. You have free reign on your computer. Most people will play games. Some people will be like, "Oh, I wonder what I can not get away with, but oh, okay, maybe I don't have to have my camera on. I don't have to have my mic on. I could do whatever I want." Um, it's one of those times to where you kind of let your uh, what is it, your inner thoughts come out. So maybe you think, "Oh, maybe I'm a little aroused right now. Oh, okay, I could watch porn. I have the opportunity to. In class, I couldn't, but I have the opportunity to do that now."
I mean, there's a lot in the media right now, and in kind of public discourse around, I guess, lonely young men.
Mhm.
And I mean, do you feel like a lonely young man in society?
In the sense of everyone else's opinion or definition, yes. In my own definition, uh, it's mixed, but I feel like I'm at the stage in my life to where I'm just comfortable with a lot of things. I'm not trying to change. I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to branch out a little bit, but it's more of I'm just comfortable with it. I'm used to it now, so um, I don't see much changing. I think maybe if you talk to me, you know, before the pandemic, I'd say like, "Oh, yeah, okay, maybe I could change a little bit," but now I could change, but is that something porn aside, I could change, but is that something I really wanna do? It's not, like, the top of my priority. Because of being antisocial or not as sociable as other people, I found other things might be more important to me. Um, so that there's pros and cons to it, but I've trying to focus more on the pros than the cons.
I mean, there's an idea that that kind of loneliness can lead to kind of leads to anger, resentment towards women, kind of more radicalized views. Do you
Mhm.
feel as though you're in that space?
No. No, I mean, I have like some of my best friends. Well, actually, yeah, some of the people that I care the most about, or just like my best friend, she's female. We talk all the time. There's nothing, we'll even have like very deep discussions or very controversial discussions, but there's nothing to where, um, I'm ever like, oh yeah, women are just awful, and I 100% mean everything that I'm saying about women, and they're just the worst, or they're just like, uh I don't even wanna say, like, anything mean, but yeah, it's just degrading women or just degrading, well, no, degrading women, I've never been on that case. Usually, um, if there's, like, any injustice in the world and it's women, it's like, "Damn, that sucks. I wish someone stood up for them, or I wish they were able to stand up for themselves." I even think that, a lot of people will relate porn to, like, child exploitation or human trafficking or prostitution. Which that really weighs on my mind because it is something to where, they say, "Oh, yeah, they're 18 or they're old enough," but even I don't think 18 is old enough to be in the industry. I think that it just leads to too much gray area. So I am critical in what I guess when I'm watching, I'm critical. I try to have some critical thinking. I don't just watch it just for the scene. There might be something that throws it off. But yeah, I haven't noticed myself to think of women in a negative space since that.
How much is your angst around like I guess not having kind of or meeting people, the dating scene not working for you, kind of being a virgin in this world? Like how much of it is about that?
I kind of got over that. So before I used to be like, oh, um, I this was even before, not before. Well, this was before gooning. So I thought, oh, I'm never gonna find someone. And I mean, I'm still in the case right now to where maybe I don't find someone, but I still got years ahead. It's just, um, yeah, I guess being lonely back then, I was trying to do everything that I could through the social norms. Well, not everything, but I tried, like dating apps. Maybe I tried going out. I tried talking to people. It just didn't work out. So I thought, oh, something's wrong with me. Something's wrong with them. This sucks. But now I look back at it and I think, okay, it didn't work. All right, whatever. We'll try something else. Someone might suggest, like, yeah, you should go on a dating app. I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my time. It doesn't work. Oh, okay. So it's just I guess learning from my past.
In a kind of subsequent film on the Zandland channel, we met a guy who rents girlfriends. He's kind of in a similar position to you, where dating scene just is not working for him. So he basically like pays women to pretend to be his girlfriends. Have you ever thought about kind of alternative, I suppose, solutions? I'm not necessarily advocating for you to rent a girlfriend. I'm just intrigued more
Mhm.
around like, yeah, beyond, because I guess gooning feels like a solution to a problem that you have, maybe around intimacy to some degree.
To some degree, yes, but is it? I don't think of it. I don't think of it as the solution to it. It does have some nuances, or yeah, it does have some nuances and some pros with it. Um, when I am out, like if I am, um, let's say like I do masturbate before I go out. I have a clear head. It's not something that, oh, I'm attracted to this person just because of their body. Conversation is awful, but I still want to take them home or do that. I don't have that anymore, so I think of that as a pro. But would I rent someone? I wouldn't personally. I haven't really thought about, I guess, alternatives for that. It's just, maybe I'll meet the right person. I haven't really thought about alternatives to meeting the right person. It's just that maybe the post nut clarity helps out. But as far as actual, like, intimate one on one conversations with people, I don't think that can really be substituted. So I'll get there when I get there.
Speaking of post nut clarity, someone called Bent Tree SJS has said the post nut clarity must be insane. Lol. Do
Mhm.
do do you kind of reach a form of like kind of enlightenment after a goon sesh? Like what is the kind of feeling?
Um, First thing that comes to mind is exhaustion. You're just like, oh, okay, well, that's done. That's basically it. I know that some people, they might have really bad experiences sober, which that hasn't happened to me before. If I've
When you say
uh,
bad experiences sober, what do you mean?
like if someone masturbated or watched something, they orgasmed, and I guess I've heard of stories of where they just feel instant regret. Well, even the therapist that we talked to, they were I think they mentioned that someone might feel instant regret after it, and that could be part of the shame that she was talking about. But I haven't felt that. It's just something
Hmm.
that, oh, okay, cool, that's done.
Okay.
Or yeah, it's never like, "Oh, I can't believe I did that," sober, but I know that people who do goon because they're overstimulating themselves and they maybe are doing drugs with it. I don't advocate for that, but, that's their life. If they're doing that, then I feel like that's hitting their dopamine, so the come down is a lot harder. It's not like a natural thing, it's just instead of it being a steady decline, it's just a roller coaster at its peak, and then it just drops. That's a good way of describing it.
I'm always aware that I'm asking you deeply personal questions, so I appreciate you kind of answering them. I know they're not always the easiest things to answer. Is there anything you'd like to say that you don't feel we've covered? Or
So just kind of just mentioning it to you, but you can also include this, but I didn't watch the full documentary. I actually watched a snippet on Instagram because, that that friend that I told you is a really good friend, she actually found the Instagram clip, and she sent it to me, and she was like, "I know this is you," which was pretty shocking, but it was like the just to describe, like, the relationship, it was more of a, "Oh, that's funny that you found it," but not like, "Oh, I'm scared." It was just
mm,
like, "Oh, okay, you found it, cool." Like, I'm glad it was her versus someone else. But I looked through some of the comments, and I think I got through 2 of them, and it was just one of those like, "Oh, his dopamine's fried," or like, uh, like civilization has really fallen or something along those lines. And I just thought, yeah, all right, that's enough. But
Mm,
it was interesting enough for me to I guess kind of see that preview. And then I did end up watching part of the documentary regarding the like the therapist and kind of her ideas, or not her ideas behind it, but just like her explanations between the conversation of you two had, and that was interesting. But again, it wasn't anything that I mean, I disagreed with it, but it wasn't, like, oh my god, I can't believe you're so wrong. It was just, oh, okay, I don't agree with that.
mm.
You have great reasoning behind it, but I just don't agree with it. Yeah.
And I guess,
Um,
did you feel kind of judged in those comments?
oh yeah, but as I told Ben before, I think, well, the recent conversation we had, I told him that, everyone has an opinion, whether it's right or wrong, it's whatever. It's like it's just the internet. I can't take it too seriously. But the reason why I didn't watch it was, one, because I can't stand hearing myself talk. I get extremely embarrassed with that, or even seeing myself do something. And then also the comments too. I knew that it was going to be the Wild West,
Mm,
so some people, that like the guy that says, "Oh, I wish I could take him on a hike, give him a hug, tell him it's gonna be okay, and show him to a better path." That's great, but I knew that going into it, I had a feeling that there's always going to be a negative comment somewhere, and for something this unique and taboo, it
yeah,
was just
that's
a little bit
understandable.
more. Yeah,
Mm,
it was just easier to get more negative.
mhm.
So I figured, one, I don't want to watch the documentary just because of myself, but two, I don't want to get tempted to look at the comments as I did before. Just looked at two, and I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Do you feel? I guess where are you now in terms of mentally? Like, are you more hopeful about life now? Do you feel less hopeful about life than when we met?
I don't think I was really. Wait, did I seem depressed before?
Probably.
No, I mean, I felt like it was just a deep conversation to where I was able to discuss things, but I don't really think I'm depressed, like, even then and now. I've been hopeful about life. I'm just more excited about, obviously our interests change over time, and I'm not even talking about porn, but just my life. There's things that interest me that maybe didn't interest me 5 years ago,
Hmm.
or maybe I'm reaching goals that I'm more excited about because I'm closer to the finish line than I was before. Like, it was not a daunting task, but it was just a daunting goal that, oh, that's going to take me years to achieve, and then now I'm here. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a lot closer than I thought, or I achieved something and now it's starting to kind of kick in. So, in a sense, I am more hopeful in life, but I wasn't depressed before. I feel, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much. Pleasure. Have a
Yeah.
nice rest of your day. Are you going to go to bed now?
Yeah. I got a shower and then head to bed. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much, Declan. Have a good day.
Oh, no worries.
Bye bye.
Thank you. You too.